Our next speaker is Justin Passino.
Hi, my name is Justin Passino. I live over at 731 Delwood Street here in Bethlehem. The yard is very overgrown, so if any of my neighbors are watching from home, I'm sorry. I've been a Bethlehem resident for 7 years and heavily involved in the Arts Quest community for 6 years. I perform regularly at Steel Stacks, and I've also been an instructor for the Arts Quest comedy program since 2019. I took my first improv class at the Banana Factory in 2016. Since then, I've studied and performed in New York, Philadelphia, Baltimore, DC, and all around the Lehigh Valley. I'm confident in saying that taking classes at Arts Quest has changed my life for the better. It allowed me opportunities that were unavailable to me where I grew up. I'm from a small college town in upstate New York that had very little to offer in terms of the arts. It wasn't anything like Arts Quest that my friends and I could use as a resource. So we made do with what we had. We performed in coffee shops, bars, parks, parking lots, fire halls, church basements, and bowling alleys. Most of these places weren't exactly ideal for the community events we put on, and all of them were transitory. We never had a consistent space to build something big, but we made do. Performing comedy in Bethlehem hasn't been much different. For the past 6 years, most of my performances have taken place in movie theaters, conference rooms, and art galleries. I've grown very used to the confused looks on people's faces when I try to explain where they can see me perform next. Most recently, we claimed a new spot in the Arts Quest Visitor Center, but even then, we need to share that space and it's not always available. It's great and we're very fortunate we have these spaces, but we're unable to have them with the consistency we need to continue building our community. Still, I've seen steady interest in the comedy and arts community here, not only in the number of performers, some of which travel from all over the country to perform here, but also in public interest. There's a visible momentum and a desire for live comedy in this city. So much that when the pandemic began and Arts Quest shifted their programming to virtual shows, audiences still logged on and showed up week after week, often twice in one evening. And this momentum led to a plan for us to finally be able to have our own venue, a black box theater inside the new Arts Quest Cultural Center. The comedy community here has been building for a long time, and we've been filling unusual spaces with our performances because there's a real want for it. And in my opinion, a community is nothing without the arts, and the arts can't survive long without space to grow. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm glad no one's here to complain about your yard being overgrown. Our next speaker is Tami Cantilina. And I just ask anybody present if we could leave the doorways open, if any doorways are blocked, just in case anyone else is coming in to join us. There's another seat down here in the front if anyone cares to occupy it. And I think there's a couple back to my left here. But please, your comments.
I'm actually looking to bring chickens to Banana Factory, so.
You still
Really
get 5
excited to
minutes.
be here.
You still get 5 minutes.
My name is Tami Cantilina. I'm at 514 Dakota Street. I have been fortunate to be a part of the Arts Quest comedy community since 2015. First by taking classes and then joining and creating my own teams, such as an all-female team that is often featured at Arts Quest. I have also been able to create various game shows and comedy shows, such as Dear Diary, where we read our old diaries from high school, which is truly as awkward and embarrassing as you can imagine. I've always said that we are so spoiled because Arts Quest has truly allowed stand-up, sketch, and improvisers to create and perform most of our wild show ideas and has let our community explore, be creative, and express ourselves in so many ways, and we are so thankful for that. One of the biggest parts of doing improvised comedy is agreeing, adapting, and being flexible. Without having a true consistent home, our performers and audience members have had to do that quite frequently. Oftentimes, our venue would be in a movie theater, but then due to scheduling conflicts, such as a movie running late or a band playing too loudly, we would get moved upstairs or into an entire different building completely. This means that we have to adapt to different stage sizes and adjust our positioning on stage, awkwardly standing in front of each other or not on the stage all at once. Because our shows are scheduled where there is open space, they often start later than an ideal time, usually around 9:15, which has definitely had an impact on people coming out to shows. We've also had times where we've not been able to promote our next show because we're not sure when or where it would be. So it's often a thanks for coming out. We'll see you again sometime, someplace. I believe that having the Black Box Theater would do wonders for our current comedy community and for the one that would grow because of this new dedicated space. As a performer with a full-time job, I could not commit to driving into Philly or New York to take classes at night or on the weekends. The classes offered at Arts Quest were a safe and non-intimidating space to try out a new skill. As you know, we are the perfect halfway point between New York City and Philadelphia. both which have established comedy scenes, but are a little too far for many people to go often to classes or shows at night. By creating an official theater, we could have those stand-up, sketch, and improv classes and shows right here. By keeping it local, performers can advertise and promote their shows, creating a following at a familiar location. This in turn could allow for a set schedule for classes and shows, which would allow for audience members to plan to come back. Besides having a creative outlet, the best thing about our Arts Quest comedy community, especially within the improv community that I'm in, are the relationships created. I have often shared the stage with people of different ages, races, sexual identities, and religious beliefs than my own. People who may never have interacted with each other before are now coming together to work together to find the funny, as we say. They must learn to listen and trust each other in order to be successful. The commitment to each other is shown by supporting others at shows, promoting each other's projects, and even rallying together to support fundraisers benefiting others in their time of need. As I close, I would just like to restate how important this new space would be to grow and better our comedy community. Bethlehem is a beautiful town, not only full of rich history, but also has a vibrant cultural component that we all want to see thrive. I understand how important it is to honor the past, but the only way to grow is to look towards the future and all it can bring. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next